Dance is culture. Ritual is culture. The dance of death in the huts of the poor for lack of food or medicine is culture. The existential struggle for basic needs of life is culture. So is a tribe's search for survival and identity. This video takes us into the heart of this matter. Here we meet the least and the lost in the jungles of the Rajmahal hill range. The Yuguvasis, namely the earliest settlers of this range in Jharkhand, having a frontier existence. Paharias Seva Samiti at Satya in Pakur district of Jharkhand, eastern India, has been journeying with them because we believe that if we are not part of the solution, we are part of the problem. So are we all.
बाप रे, क्या कुत्तों के लिए इतना सुविधा?
Look at this. Goodness gracious. 5-star care for dogs. This India, and we the Paharias of this Rajmahal hill range are denied of even basic necessities of life. What a contradiction. This India, this Bharat, Vande Mataram. Why are our fathers and mothers still condemned to carry firewood to distant markets to exchange for a handful of provisions? Should we be condemned to die like flies with cerebral malaria, TB, and even ordinary diseases like diarrhea? The coal of our land goes to Punjab and to NTPC. Here we have no electricity. Why?
The Rajmahal hill range. The 100-mile-long range rising from the Gangetic Valley at Sahibganj in the north. The range spreads up to and beyond Dumka in the south of the Santal Parganas in Jharkhand, eastern India. The panoramic hills and valleys, gorges and ravines, plateaus and serpentine rivers have a charm of their own. Buried in its underbelly are large deposits of black diamond, manganese, granite, china clay, etc. But even as the sun lights up the hills, their age-old inhabitants, the Paharia tribals, are still buried in dark tunnels of misery and poverty. As if the dawn of the third millennium held up no promises for them. In his travelogue, the Greek traveller Megasthenes gives us a glimpse of this Dravidian tribe's existence in this part of the world. Around 300 BC, he came across their forefathers in the range. According to Urao scholar Dr. Philip Ecka, S.J., tradition has it that the Maler tribe of today's Rajmahal range belonged to the Kuduk family. They lived in Karnataka, across the Vindhyas, along with other Dravidians in unrecorded past. Their physical characteristics, linguistic similarities, and traditional artifacts confirm their Dravidian lineage. In times past, the Kuduks moved up the Narbada valley and settled in the Kaimur hills of the Rohtas plateau in Bihar. for their safety, they erected a fortress there and called it Rohtasgarh. There is an interesting story about the manner in which they had to vacate Rohtasgarh. During the Sarhul harvest festival, the elders were enchanted by the mesmeric smell of country liquor. That was an auspicious time for the enemies to strike. However, the Kuduk women harnessed courage and dressed up as men managed to dispel the attack 3 times, even as the men were totally drunk. But the enemy struck a 4th time with greater terror. The Kuduks lost the fight and went wandering. For dispelling the enemies successfully 3 times, the tribal king was said to have honored the women with 3 lines on their foreheads as a mark of chivalry. Even this day, Orao and Paharia women display this mark on their foreheads as an age-old tradition. Interestingly, a 12-yearly Jani Shikar, namely Mock Hunt, is held in Chota Nagpur by Orao women dressed as men in remembrance of the Rohtasgarh event. Thus, driven out hence somewhere around the 5th century BC, one branch of the Kuduk, later known as Oraos, retreated to Chutia Nagpur plateau, today's Chota Nagpur. The second branch followed the course of the Ganges and settled in the Rajmahal hill range. This group is known as the Malair, locally called Paharias or hill dwellers by others. When the Malair entered the Rajmahal hill range, it was a virgin territory. The hill range, with its verdant vegetation, undulating hills, enchanting plateaus, panoramic valleys and deep gorges, was inviting enough to mesmerize them. Hence, they pitched their tents in the heart of the Rajmahal's thick forest flora. Today, justifiably, they call themselves Yugbasis, as they were the earliest settlers of this area, which came to be then known as Kohistan. Life in the forest-bound terrain was a paradise-like bliss. The idyllic forest sanctuary of Mother Nature provided enough and more for a contented life. Roots and leaves, flowers and fruits, seeds and grains, birds and animals were in abundance. To cap it all, nourishing waterfalls and streams from the heart of rocks and healing vibrations of health-giving herbs energized and enriched their lives. In the pristine precincts of their sanctuary, their forefathers celebrated life with free abandon. Music and dance vibrated in their blood. Fun and festivities added color and zest. Somewhere along the historical past, the Malair had an amoeba-like split. 2 other factions emerged: Mal Paharias and Kumarbhag Paharias. The largest group is known today as Saurias, with just one title, Malto. The language they speak is also called Malto. The Mal have titles such as Singh, Dehri, Ahadi, Girhi, Pujahar, Manjhi, Lea and Rai. The Kumarbhag use Paharia as their title. The Mal and the Kumarbhag speak a form of adulterated Malto due to association with other languages such as Bengali and local dialects. All three groups claim a common origin. For centuries, they ruled over all that they surveyed. No outside elements ventured to pollute the primitive purity of the Malay existence. But all this began to change with the incursions of foreign elements. First, the Mohammedans in the medieval period, and then the British. During the Mohammedan ascendancy in Bengal, Raj Mahal became a tributary of the Mohammedan rule. However, the Malay did not fully acknowledge the rule of the Mohammedans. They kept a virtual independence, preserving their own primitive system of self-government with Sardars as divisional heads and Manjis as village heads. The inaccessible forest foliage did not encourage the Mohammedans to make deep inroads into the Malay territory. However, with the entry of the British toward the fag end of the 18th century, the atmosphere in the range took a drastic turn, a crucially unpleasant one for the Malay. The white man thought the Malay needed civilization. Not to be outdone by the white man's military escapades, the Malay used their humble bamboo willows and poisoned arrows under the cover of thick forest. The British were surprised by the guerrilla tactics of the Malay and had to change their own arrogant maneuvers. The next step of the British was to befriend and pacify the tribals. They formally acknowledged the Sardar Manji social system. Markets were established at the outskirts of the hills to convert the barter system into money economy. They introduced a policing system too, with police stations surrounding the hilly terrain. Augustus Cleveland, the collector of Bhagalpur, was a tactician. He set up a corps of hill archers recruited from the Malay tribe. A service allowance ranging between rupees 2 to rupees 5 was also allowed. The hill archers became a regular police force. This system remained in force till the Great Indian Mutiny of 1857. The Malay were allowed to have a hill assembly of their own with a British magistrate as superintending officer. This was to sort their own cases of litigation. At this juncture, the onrush